Michael, tell me a little bit about your history.
Well, I was born in Casper, Wyoming in 1977. Moved around a little bit. My father was in the oil business. We moved from Casper, Wyoming to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then from there to Lafayette, Louisiana, where we stayed there for 9 years. And then we moved to Plano, Texas in around 1987, and I've been living here ever since.
What about your education level? What did you do in school?
Well, that's a really long story, but when I was in school, I had a lot of difficulty because I've got dyslexia and some other learning disabilities. But when we moved to Texas from Lafayette, Louisiana, they had a much better school system. And when I moved here, I was able to get a diploma, and then after that I got a associate's degree in liberal arts, and then I was able to take my credits and transfer, and where I earned a bachelor's degree, and that was a monumental achievement in itself.
And Michael, I guess that there's a whole nother story to that entire episode.
Yeah.
But what I'd like to ask now is, why don't you tell us a little bit about your disabilities?
Well, my primary disability that I have is cerebral palsy, otherwise known as CP, and that is the main cause that, or the main disability is, that main disability is the reason why I have other disabilities below that. So if you could kind of think of CP as an umbrella, and other things that go below that are major vision problems. I've got dyslexia. I have difficulty reading, tracking things from left to right. I reverse letters and everything. So I probably have a little bit of both of a severe vision problem, but also dyslexia. I have immense trouble with mathematics, and that's about it, I guess.
Okay. Michael, right now you're living in a handicapped living apartment situation. Do you find that that's a good way for you to live right now?
Yes, at the moment, it is really the best option for me. I had been living with my parents for a long time, probably around 9 to 10 years with my parents, and so living in here allows them to get a break and for me to live independently or have a better sense of independence by living in this facility.
It seems to me in my visiting with you, Michael, that you have a goal with these YouTube videos. You have kind of where you're at now, and we're discussing that, and you have a vision of where you want to go with this project. Can you tell me just a little bit about that?
Well, one of the things that I'd like to achieve, or two things actually, that I would like to achieve with these YouTube videos is to talk about the disabled advocates that have influenced both the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 and the ADA law of 1990. And I'd like to talk about these people's lives, what types of disabilities they had, what sort of battles that they had to, political battles that they had to face, such as protesting and stuff, to actually get what we have today as far as accessibility in bathrooms and parking spaces and all sorts of things. Then the second thing I'd like to do is talk about famous people with disabilities, famous actors with disabilities, and also talk about how the disabled population is being portrayed in the media. Right now, I think for the most part, when we talk about somebody with disabilities, whenever there's news stories, it's mostly done in a way of what if you are in the profession of the media, it's called evergreen stories, and that's basically you'll have a kid or something with a disability, and they're trying to conquer what they're going through, and oh, look at this person, and they're doing extraordinary things. I would like to see. I would like to talk about how we're kind of still being portrayed that way, and we're not being portrayed in other images or other ways, or things like that in the media. When I say the media, I don't just mean news. I mean television, and I also mean movies. So,
I hear this term evergreen portrayal, and I believe that means that you're seeing a situation with a disadvantaged person, and it's kind of fluffed up and made to look really good.
Yeah, it's called Evergreen's story with an S on it.
Evergreens.
Yes.
So you're interested in showing the real life drama of the handicapped population, and what you portray as an advancement in the way that they're treated, they're looked at, and the improvements in their lifestyle.
Yeah, I would really like to focus on talking about the disability movements that we've had for several decades now, and talk about what actually had to have been done. If there's anything that I want to get across is that again, if you go to college and you major in rehabilitation, you may talk about that. But as far as just being any other type, being a standard major, nobody ever talks about disabled leaders or disabled advocates within the general part of your education. It always kind of aggravated me how throughout history, we would talk about the Mexican-American movement, we would talk about the Black Civil Rights movement, but you wouldn't hear anything about the disabled rights movement. It would not be included in the conversation. It's like all these other people they would mention, but they wouldn't mention people with disabilities, and they still don't. So, that's something that I hope will change with time, and I hope, we can get enough viewers and start changing the way people with disabilities are being talked about, or change the fact that they're just not being talked about at all. I mean, if you go into basic education, and you take history classes, I think there should be either a chapter or something devoted to that, maybe specific movement, or even a few paragraphs. We don't even have a few paragraphs about it. It's not in the history.
Okay, Michael. From what I understand, your goal is to put together a series of YouTube videos addressing individual subjects. So I believe that you're going to come out with an outline of existing videos and an outline of future videos. Is that correct?
Yes. So
I say outline, I probably should say index of existing videos and future videos.
Yes, that's true. I'd like to, when I do these videos, I'd like to make them relatively short and talk about this person or that person, this advocate or that advocate, or people, like I said, that are famous people with disabilities or celebrities or whatever, and do it that way.
Well, I'll tell you, I look forward to talking to you again on another time. For today, I hope you have a really good day.
Thank you very much.